keeping our fingers crossed. I really hope I get money. I really hope that the singer from Sublime is resurrected. He's got to warm his fingers up. It's been a while. I really hope for a strong home life. I really hope for love. But you don't have to be an orphan to hope for this. Some of us have parents and we still have a crappy home life. I get that. And we can hope for love as well. But these are all just things that we're hoping for. We're desirous of them. Again, that's like fingers crossed. I really hope that this happens. But there's a distinction between that and something like faith. And we typically use these things as though they're synonyms, but they're really not. Faith is something completely different. Anyone want to venture to guess what faith is? And how it's different from hope?
It's like a miracle? Like something that actually happens?
So you have faith in things that actually happen. So for example, you have hope that Brad Noel is going to be resurrected from the dead. Have any of you ever met someone who's been resurrected from the dead before? Okay, so you might not have faith that that's going to happen because you never experienced it before. You know that there are proper home lives out there because you've seen them. So you can have faith that it's possible because you've seen it before. You know that true love exists because you've seen it before. And so maybe that's why you're not just hoping for that thing, but you have faith that it can happen as well. So faith is the evidence of things not seen. You've seen things like it before. So for example, if every day you come in and I tell you something, and then you look it up, and it's like, oh wow, okay, Scallon was right about this. And I tell you something else, you look it up, and then you come in like the fourth day, and I tell you something, and rather than just be the nah guy, you know, the person who's just like, nah, that's not true, nah, whatever someone says, you go, well, he's told me the truth 3 times in a row. So this 4th time, maybe I can't verify it, but I'm going to have faith that it's true, because he's been true so far. So faith is the thing that you have in somebody or something because you have a track record behind it. So what he's talking about here is not faith being a commodity, but this thing of hope. I really hope I can get these kinds of things. I guess the question becomes, how is it that you're going to get them? And that goes back to what you started by saying, what you're going to expend. So what's something that you're going to have to expend in order to get money?
Your life.
Time.
Yeah, okay, good. Give your life for it. Yeah, so one of the things you're going to have to expend is time. And how much time are you going to have to expend? Don't know.
90
A lot.
years?
Yeah, a lot. What's that?
Like 90 years?
90 years?
Well, not 90 years, but like 60 years approximately.
That's terrible, because then that means that the people who have the money are too old to enjoy it. No, that sucks. Imagine being 90 years old, you can finally afford the Ferrari.
Well, no.
But you're doing 25 and a 35 with it. You're grinding the gears on it. So yeah, how much time are you going to spend? And by the way, I really mean that. I don't know. Some of you maybe in here are going to grind your whole lives. And maybe you'll earn some money, maybe you won't. Some of you are going to come in here and just be like, my life sucks. I've got $5 and you buy a bag of hot Cheetos and a lottery ticket. And while you're walking out thinking about how crappy your life is, all of a sudden it's like, holy shit, $30 million. And how much time did you spend getting rich there? Seconds, the time it took to scratch off or whatever. So how much time is it going to take you to get rich? Don't know. That's one of the things that makes it so hard. Because if I told you, if you did this 3 hours a day, 5 days a week, for 2 years, you could probably discipline yourself enough to do that. If you believe, if you had faith that at the end of it, it was going to equal $1 million or whatever. But the truth is, what I began with, you could grind your whole life and never get rich. And so now I guess the question is, what's the thing at the end that you have your eyes on? You know, like I was saying when we began, and AJ was saying, you know, life is suffering, but you have to keep going. I was asking that question, why? Why do you have to? Well, just, you know, because you have to. Because that's what every poster in school has ever told me. Every teacher's always had that poster on the wall. Keep going and you can make it. Maybe. Probably. But there's no guarantee at the end. And that's the thing that so many of us are looking for, this guarantee at the end. Well, so if I do this, and if I have faith that if I do this, I'm going to get rich. If you believe it, then you're going to pursue it, of course. This, by the way, is one of the reasons that pursuing money is so difficult. Because if you pursue money, there is no promise that you're going to get it. I can't tell you how many of my students, oh my God, after they graduate, they reach out to me, Scallon, I've got a prime investment opportunity for you. Okay. And they're either selling Cutco knives or they're working for Primerica. And they want to talk to me about how they can help me maximize my retirement investments. I think, really? Come on, man. And you're there, and they blow through like 100 candidates, and like 3 people stay. And why? Because they fill your head with these promises of, you can do this if you just put in the time. If you just put in the time, can you do it? Yeah, mostly. How much time? By the way, I do have a student who is very successful, and she lives in San Francisco now. You know, she's doing very, very well in that business. And I have many, many students, of course, who like to post on Instagram, you know, grinding away at 2 o'clock in the morning. I'm thinking of one guy specifically. And then all of a sudden, it's off his timeline. And then he reaches out to me, and he's like, well, that was a big waste of my time. And the guy puts, 6 months into it, and the guy was putting hours and hours and hours every day. And the more time you put into that, the less time you're putting into something else. So unfortunately, it's one of those realizations of life that, well, there's only so much of it. You've only got so many days. You've only got so many hours. And how many hours do you have? How many days do you have? Don't know. But you'll find out, because at some point you'll be laying there going like, well, shit, I guess I had 26 years, 11 days, and 5 hours, or whatever. And some of us may be sitting there at 90 years old saying, I never thought I would get this far along. I never thought I would live this long. So that's one of those things that makes life so difficult, because once you finally find some things that you really want to pour your time into, well, you don't know how much time you have left in it. And by the way, this is across the board, right? This isn't just like working for Primerica or learning how to skateboard when you're 50 years old. This is also being a parent. And I wonder how many of you have this, a parent who's kind of there, or maybe they're realizing right now how much of your life they've missed, and then they want to run in and be super dad or super mom. I say this because I have those parents reach out to me every year. And like I'm thinking of one from last year, this father who came out very hard and aggressive, and you're just kind of like, who the fuck is this guy? Not even on the list right now. And I mentioned to my student, she's like, oh my god, yeah, that's my dad. He showed up all of a sudden like 6 months ago, and he wants to be dad now. She didn't know him her whole life, and all of a sudden he shows up and he wants to know, why is she doing this in class? He's not in the contact stuff or anything like that. But it's because he realizes in retrospect how much of the life he's missed. How much of that can he get back? Well, nothing. And this is part of the problem, that we try so hard to recover the unrecoverable. And we spend so much time digging into that past and holding on to that past that at some point we have to give up a hope for a better past. And you have to kind of live with the life where you are now, and then going forward. You can't change how things were, just how they are, and then how they're going to be. But that's a hard realization for a lot of us, because you can look back and go, my God, I wasted so much of this time, which you can never get back. And so you have to choose the things that you're going to put your time into. Hope is expensive, because we can spend so much of our time hoping for something that's going to be better. And then if it doesn't pan out, well then, it's a lot of wasted time. What we could have done was was not just, hope is fine, it does keep us going, but then also work towards the things for which you're hoping. Be smart about your pursuit for money. Does money matter? Money doesn't matter to 2 kinds of people. People who have a lot of it, and people who have none of it. Because it's easy if you have no money to go, whatever, man. Fuck rich people, money doesn't matter. And if you have a whole bunch of money and you're sitting in your heated Mercedes, and you're just like, money doesn't matter, as you're going home to your mansion. It's easy to say that. But for most people who are in the middle, 98% of people who are, who inhabit that middle point, you realize, of course, money matters. Of course it does. It opens up opportunities. It provides comfort. It can be damaging when it provides too much comfort, because it stops you from going forward and getting more things in life. Achievements, not stuff. But of course this matters. I think we've got to give up on the Sublime reunion. I don't think Brad Miller's coming back. He's been dead 20 years. I don't think this dude's coming back. You can't fix the home life that you're in right now, but many of you are going to be parents someday, and you're going to have home lives. And you can create the home life for your kids that you wish that you had had. Not just in the sense of, man, I wish my mom would let me stay out till 3 in the morning. Because you're going to realize at some point that good stuff doesn't happen there. I've lost several students who are out late. But you can't create a better past, but you can create a better future. You can use that to make a better future. Putting time into it. Yeah, what else do you have to make money and to make a better home life? Well, you have to also have money to make money. If you want to invest, you have to have money to invest. If you're going to create a better life for our children, we have to have money as well for that, because they have to have clothes, Doesn't mean they have to have all the clothes, doesn't mean they have to have all the shoes, but there has to be a certain level of comfort and security. You can't be raised well if you don't have to, and some of you know exactly what I'm talking about with this. It's difficult to exist in a world where we don't have security. You know, love. Does money matter for love? Yeah. Yeah. And I wonder how many of y'all are out there looking at, I wonder how many of you girls out there looking at guys who are just like completely dead-ass broke and are like, yeah, that's my project.
There's some.
And by the way, why does money matter in love? Because it represents something else. It represents hard work. It represents commitment. It represents grinding. It represents focus. It represents responsibility. If you meet somebody who has no focus, no ambition, no responsibility, is that the kind of person you're going to create a good home life with? No, it's going to be constant chaos, constantly chaotic. There has to be stability if you're going to bring children into it. So yeah, money does matter for these things. That doesn't mean you have to be super wealthy. Don't get caught up on that trap of, I'm not ready for children yet because I haven't earned $30 million. It doesn't take $30 million. It takes enough to be secure, which, by the way, is roughly $75,000, according to surveys. According to studies. It's about $78,000 would be enough, but you know, most people start at like 30, 20, so it takes some time to get there, of course. So all of these things, yes, hope for them, but also expend what's necessary to get them. Guys, have faith, man. Things aren't as screwed as we like to talk about. We like to look at the world today and go, man, everything is so screwed up. I've lived long enough now to tell you, things are always screwed up. It's like, you know how you guys don't really care about learning and you're lazy? You know, you guys know this, right? You hear this all the time. Aristotle, who's a contemporary of Thucydides, 2,500 years ago, writes the exact same thing. He says the youth of today don't have the desire for learning that their parents had. So Aristotle, 2,500 years ago, these goddamn kids. We've been complaining about it forever. Are things worse today? No. Are you guys any more lazy or any more? No, exactly the same. The problem is that we lose focus on that. We rose-color it. As you guys know, when I was in school, I did my homework. Stop laughing, it's not funny, it's true. I studied hard, I respected my elders. I was always nice to my teachers. That story about me giving my drama teacher a Vietnam flashback and causing him to retire early, that could have happened to anyone. No, man, nothing has changed. The problem is that we realize later on that I wish I knew then what I know now. But you didn't. But I'm telling you guys, man, things are not as bad as they are. These things are worth hoping for. These things are worth putting your time into. Because the things that you want at the end, they're worth achieving. They're worth getting. Questions? Comments? Concerns? Complaints? Criticisms? Critiques?
We have to find a way to bring them back to the singer sublime.
Yeah. Anybody out there into, what would it be? Well, I guess necromancy, the bringing back of the dead. Anybody know how to bring back the dead?
Would you? Are you into that?
Witch! Witch! Cool. Grab the wood out of the closet. We'll finally burn another one.